This is the CNC Geekcast, the podcast where two guys with speech impediments talk about movies. I'm Joseph Collins.
And I'm Paul Combs.
On today's episode, we'll be talking about Solo, a Star Wars story. We're going to be talking about the characters, the plot, what we liked about the film, what we didn't, and where does the Star Wars universe go from here, and much more. So stay tuned!
If you've listened to us before, you know how this goes. So I'm going to give the warning anyway. The movie's still in theaters, so I know a lot of people may not have seen it yet. So if you haven't seen it, turn this episode off.
And then come back and listen to us.
After you've seen it.
After you've seen it, yes. But now that's underway. Paul, what did you think of the film?
I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say it was great. I'm not going to say it was terrible. It was fine to watch. I'm not going to rewatch it the way I have A New Hope or The Empire Strikes Back or anything like that, but it was a serviceable film.
Yeah, my response to this is I wasn't a big fan of it. There were some fun moments in it, but I put this on par with the prequels. There were fun moments in the prequels too, but those films were not that fun to watch. And this film was not fun to watch either.
I think it was fun to watch just because it was so focused. The prequels were less fun to watch for a completely different reason. There were so many different narratives in the prequels. This movie was just the story of Han, so it was very simple, it was very focused, and it was just a straight-up adventure story. Yeah, it had some weak moments, yeah, it had some bits that were way too fan-servicey, but all in all, I think it was okay. I thought it was okay.
I thought that episode 1 was far more focused than 2 and 3. I mean, one didn't have strong character development, and that was his weakest point.
Well, speaking of characters, what do you think of the characters in this film?
When it comes to Han Solo, I felt like he wasn't really Han Solo in this one. And I understand this is a prequel, and he's supposed to be an origin story, and he's supposed to grow into the smuggler, but I felt like he never really got to that point the way that, he was supposed to. Maybe it was a trilogy supposed to be made, and he was supposed to develop into that in the other two films.
I think it worked for this film. First off, I'm going to say the actor whose name I cannot pronounce or remember off the top of my head. I think he did a great job. He didn't try to impersonate the character. He did not try to do a Han Solo impersonation.
Yeah, like a lot of people wanted him to.
Yeah, he kind of took the character and took inspiration and did his own thing with it.
I don't mind Han Solo being young in this. I mean, there's a couple moments where he tried to be cocky and failed on him. Like when he said about Lando, I have a group of people out there who's going to come out here and just like that, just completely just blow you out of the water, and then Lando just takes off and flies away. That was a fun moment. That was an interesting moment. Not interesting, but funny moment. But at that point, I was like, I went into this film not caring. I came out not caring in the end of the day.
Again, I'm going to disagree with you. You're right. He did not feel like the Han Solo we saw in A New Hope. But this, I kind of looked. Do you remember the line from The Force Awakens? These are your first steps.
Yeah,
that's what I thought about this movie. These were Han's first steps.
I know, I understand that, but I feel like I just don't feel like, and maybe, like I said, maybe they were planning on making a trilogy, but I feel like his character arc was similar to the one in New Hope, except for that he wasn't as selfish as he was in New Hope. At the end of A New Hope, he helped the rebels, and you saw he had a heart of gold. In this, we saw he helped the rebels, and we saw he had a heart of gold. So I feel like there's a parallel there that didn't put him on the path of that kind of cynical nature that we saw.
Again, I'm going to disagree with you on that, and again, because I don't think he started out this movie selfish. He started off.
No, that's what I mean. In this movie, he did A New Hope. He started out not in this one, but New Hope he did, and I feel like.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about. The fact that he didn't start off selfish in this. You could see how he became that selfish person. He's betrayed by Woody Harrelson's characters.
But that's my point. I don't see that in this end of the film. I don't. I saw that he was betrayed, but he still found it in him to trust the rebels to help them enough to defeat the villain. And then he went off, I'm going to become a smuggler like I'm supposed to. I'm like, I didn't get that from this movie, that he got betrayed. He didn't. There was not a sense of cynicalness in him at the end. Just a sense of accomplishment. Like, we did the right thing. Now let's go do our thing. I mean,
well, I think the cynicism showed when he made it clear he didn't trust Woody Harrelson's character either. Because remember, he played Woody Harrelson's character at the end. To me, that was kind of his cynicism showing through.
Nah, I disagree. I'm sorry. I don't see it. I didn't see it.
Okay.
I just I mean, but continue.
But what did you think of the other characters in the film? We could spend all day debating Han.
I thought Han Solo was chewy, and I thought the other characters were boring and bland.
Even Donald Glover.
Donald Glover is the only one that not Donald Glover, but the other one's boring and bland, pretty much.
You mentioned Chewbacca, though. Actually, I did like Chewbacca's character in this movie.
Yeah, I did too. I mean,
just because he actually has more character. Like, for example, in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, he's kind of just there.
Well, he's there because he was the original cast of the original film.
No, I mean, I get that, but he doesn't have anything to do. He's just he's a glorified cameo. In this movie, his character actually has agency. And
yes.
And I think that was a nice touch.
And then he had some plot lines here and there, but I agree with that too. But all the other characters I didn't care nothing about.
I've been watching Game of Thrones. I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan.
Okay.
And Emilia Clarke, I've always kind of defended her. She's not a great actress in the show, but I'm like, some of that could be the way she's written and everything. I don't think I can defend Emilia Clarke anymore.
Not because after this performance in this movie.
After this and Terminator Genesis, oh God, don't watch that.
Come with us if you want to live.
Yeah, I just don't think I can defend Emilia Clarke anymore.
Okay.
And Paul Bettany was wasted in this movie.
Oh, the villain. I don't remember.
Yeah, Paul Bettany is Vision. He's a classically trained actor.
He used to have been the villain of the film, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if he was the villain of the film, I felt like he probably would have had more focus. But in this, at the end of the day, I felt like they focused too much on the fan service. And because the characters, I felt, were not flushed out enough, the fan service elements just was just in your face, and they just stood out way too much.
Well, speaking of fan service, we talked a little bit about how the Han Solo actor didn't try to do a Han Solo impersonation.
Which I appreciate, because I know a lot of Star Wars fans wanted someone to look like and sound like Han Solo. That's not how actors operate. We know that.
But at the same time, I love Donald Glover. I love Donald Glover and everything he does. Mm-hmm. But there were some parts where it did feel like he was just trying to do a Billy D. Williams impersonation.
Yeah, and there's sometimes I feel like he kind of went in and out of that impersonation here and there. And like when we first saw him, it's like the first line he says, like, that sounds like Lando. And then he's like, wait, that doesn't sound like Lando.
Yeah, he had his Billy D. Williams voice, and then he just went back into Donald Glover voice, which I'm okay with. Had he just been Donald Glover voice the whole time, I probably would have been perfectly fine with it. Yeah,
me too. I felt like a lot of scenes that they could have just cut out and added something else to it.
But I did like how focused this movie was. I've already touched on that a little bit. But the film just purely focused on Han Solo. There were no subplots. There wasn't really anything. It was just seeing his journey.
Like I said, it was, but because it felt like the plot just basically evolved around he needs to do this thing because that's part of his history. We gotta show everything that Han Solo is. We gotta show him getting his blaster. We gotta show him getting his name. We gotta show him making the Kessel Run, and that's the control process.
But his name, that actually bothered me more than anything else in the film.
Okay.
Because in the movie, we're immediately open to Han being this strong, independent character. This strong, independent woman who don't need no man.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Then he and Emilia Clarke get separated. He seems lost. And that just doesn't feel like his character. And the movie opens with him kind of talk his way out of a bad situation that he got himself into with the mob boss lady. Mm-hmm. I don't remember her name, but she's a giant worm and she's a mob boss.
Yeah, she's the hut before the hut.
She's the not hut.
The not hut before the hut, yeah.
Yeah.
Big and just squirmy.
But then he decides he wants to join the military, which first off is just dumb. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that. This is a movie, so I understand I can't approach everything logically, but that was still a dumb moment. But what made it even more dumb was the fact that he gets up to the attendant at the booth. The attendant asks, "What's your name?" He's like, "My name is Han." "Well, what's your last name? Who are your people?" "I don't have any people." And the attendant gives him the name Han Solo. He didn't give himself the name Han Solo. Mm-hmm. Had he given himself the name, it wouldn't have bothered me one iota.
This bothers me because I don't know what the term is for this, but a lot of writers will pick names and they choose a name and they hide a lot of symbolism behind that name.
I think there's a word for that. I think they call it writing.
Writing. Well, like another word for like a specific word for doing that specific thing. And no writing's involved. So when the original A New Hope came out, he was named Solo, but that was his natural name. It was his given name by birth, and he is Solo, trying to give the hint he's in it for himself. Greedy. I get that. But it goes along with the cheesiness of the film that harkens back to the early 20s and 30s serial, not 70, Saturday morning cereals of Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon Star Wars was inspired by. And that was fine, but it felt like this film too many times, it was aware of itself. It knew it was a Star Wars film, and it was winking at the audience, and it just took me out of the movie. And when it comes to his name, you don't need an explanation of an explanation. For example, if you're walking along the side of the road and you find a arrowhead, you pick it up, you don't need to understand who made it in order to understand somebody made it. That was not a natural forming thing, that there was some intelligence behind it. So you don't need an explanation behind the explanation. You just need to know that it was intelligent. Same thing with Han Solo. I don't even know what his origin the name is.
So, kind of the phrase you're looking for is explain the magic. You don't need the magic explained.
No, I don't.
Because that was the problem people had with midichlorians. We didn't need it explained. You don't explain the magic.
No.
And that's how you feel about his name?
Yeah, his name, the Millennium Falcon, how he got his blaster,
actually,
the thing.
I'm going to disagree with you on the Millennium Falcon thing. Because that was always kind of cool in A New Hope. The fact that he briefly mentions he won it in a card game.
Yeah.
It was cool actually seeing that card game. Those two card games, the one at the beginning, the one in the first third, and then the one at the end, I loved those scenes.
Well, I don't mind those scenes, and I wouldn't mind those scenes if they did it without all the other stuff. It was all that stuff. They just add too much. If they stripped it away and just said, okay, we're gonna have to explain something. Explain the card games is fine. I have no problem with that. I would have liked to see some more drawn out and be focused more like in Casino Royale or the Mel Gibson movie Maverick, where it's just him playing cards, and to see, the chess game being played mentally, more than it already was given. I like to see that. But I do appreciate that film, and I do like those parts too. It was nice to see that. I agree with that.
But still talking about the characters a little bit, what did you think of Woody Harrelson?
The thing that is, he was supposed to be that character that told Solo to look after you only yourself, watch your back, don't trust anybody. But Han Solo didn't heed the advice for everybody. He didn't trust Harrison, and he didn't trust the bad guy, but he trusted the rebels. Why?
That is a legitimate criticism. He was just Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson sometimes comes on and he steals the show. Even in the Hunger Games movies.
Yeah.
When he was in those, you couldn't take your eyes off of him.
Yeah.
In this movie, he was just there.
Yeah.
I hate to say that about Woody Harrelson because I really enjoy him. But he was the sage character.
He was supposed to be, yes. But I mean, I'll tell you this. The characters that we got, minus Lando, I don't really care about. But the beginning characters we had the four-legged pilot, I wanted to see more of him and more of Woody Harrelson's wife. Those are the characters I was really interested in.
Thandie Newton, she was a fantastic actor. She's been in a lot of great movies.
Yes.
She was wasted in this.
Yes, that was something that I wanted to see, the entire heist film of those characters. Even the guy with the four leg. It was fun. He talked about opening up a cantina somewhere on a hot desert planet. Even though it was kind of wink-wink to Tatooine, it would have been fun. He had a fun personality. It was just fun to watch. And when he died, I'm like, well, there goes that interesting character.
Well, the movie did have a problem with that, though. I wasn't interested in Thandie Newton's character as much as I was interested in her and Woody Harrelson's character's relationship.
Yes, I agree with that too.
Because that could have lent itself to some interesting moments. Because here's this sage character saying, hey, don't trust anybody. And this character, he trusts more than life itself.
Yeah, and basically fell in love with this person. They had a trusting relationship.
Yeah.
Growing up. And that would have been fun to see that dynamic between the two. Yeah, I agree. Those are the characters I really want to see, and they just killed them off. Well, two of them at least.
They did. They killed them off so unceremoniously. There wasn't even a big moment.
Well, they killed the pilot off because Han Solo needed to be the pilot. It's like, well, we got this character in the way. Oops, we kind of wore ourselves in a corner, so how we get out of this? Just shoot the guy and kill the character. Oop, there you go. Now Han Solo's the pilot.
And I'm going to disagree with you on there being no more interesting characters other than Donald and Han.
Okay.
I loved the droid.
Nah, I didn't.
I loved the droid so much.
I disagree.
Why?
She wasn't really compelling, to be honest.
Well, I liked it because if you remember, even in A New Hope, there was kind of the subtle undertones of the droids being oppressed. Mm-hmm. Because think about it. Based on what we know from the Star Wars movies, a droid seems to be about on the same intelligence as a human.
Okay.
And then we're repressing these creatures, this underclass, this basically slavery.
Well, I would argue that on the Outer Rim territory, sure, but in the Empire, yeah, but the Empire's enslaving everybody, so it's not that the droids are being more mistreated than humans are under the Empire. And then, not to mention, the Tatooine is not under really much of any government rule anyway. So it's like, what body government is going to grant these rights that we're talking about? But when we look at the Alliance and the Rebellion, they seem to treat their droids with respect. Luke Skywalker did, and then so did Princess Leia. They didn't. I don't see them mistreating them on the level that the Outer Rim territory did.
But I think that created that nice juxtaposition because these either are the heroes, and we can see them treating repressed creatures with respect. So that helps solidify their position as heroes.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, pirates and smugglers don't treat one another with much respect and dignity either. They were all in it for themselves. I don't find it to be that compelling when it comes to the environment in which she came from. If it was in the Empire, it would have been more powerful than if it was in a smuggler's town, which everybody was in it for themselves. But that's just the way I saw it.
That's fine, and I can see that. But I think it was illustrated even more in this film with the robot fighting rings.
Yeah, I understand. But Star Trek The Next Generation did bring this up in Season 2 of an episode called The Measure of a Man, where Data is a android, and he was designed by Dr. Sunyan Su. And one of Starfleet's officers wanted to dismantle Data, study Data, and create more data, so every single starship had a android. Well, Data didn't want to be disassembled and didn't want that to happen, but Picard was like, look, if you could help Starfleet, that would be fine. But then Data said, well, if you think about it, Captain, Joy LaForce has a visor that helps him become better human. Are we to require all humans to have visors? It's because I'm not human. This is the reason why there's a difference. So Picard starts fighting on his behalf. And so you do have that discussion talked about in Next Generation. But I don't think that when it comes to this movie, I didn't find it to be very compelling because I don't know. I just found her character not to be, outside of her activism, there was really nothing I could attach myself to. It was like just listening to a protester, which is fine. But if you got to sit down and talk to somebody, like have a drink with them, you would want to hear more than just political plights. You want to have a conversation with them and talk to them and get to know them.
So you're saying she felt too one-dimensional?
Two-dimensional for me. And they tried to have two-dimension to her by having that conversation about Lando, but there wasn't that much of a personal connection I saw between her and Lando to really care about that aspect of it. So I do think she was far more one-dimensional for me.
Well, that's fine. Again, we're going to disagree on that. We're disagreeing on everything.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was watching this film. I tried to turn my brain off. And still wasn't really enjoying it that much.
I thought your brain was off by default.
Oh,
But seriously, what parts of the film did you actually like? I'm going to ask you that.
I liked when Solo was part of, when he joined the Imperial Army, I guess, when they were fighting that, whatever they were fighting, I don't know what they were fighting over, but that planet they, I guess, that they were invading, that aspect of these human beings being on the ground and fighting, I really liked that, because it established that it wasn't clones anymore that are fighting in the military army, it was actually human beings that were fighting, so that gave that kind of that. It eliminated that question. Many people were like, how could Finn be a stormtrooper? I thought all the stormtroopers were clones. Like, no, not all stormtroopers were clones. And it was possible for Finn to be a stormtrooper because the movie established that quite fine. And now this movie reestablishes that the stormtroopers are human beings, not clones.
But I was confused about that part. I thought the stormtroopers were infantry. Or the stormtroopers like an upgraded infantry?
That's something I was confused about too. It's like, who are these people who are fighting? Why are they not wearing stormtrooper uniforms? You see, that's my other issue with this film. So, it seems inconsistent with the canon.
Well, I don't know enough about the canon to know that. This is just a legitimate question. Yeah. If someone wants to answer it on Twitter, that would be great.
Yes, it would be. Like, but at the same time, because they took the expanded universe and turning it into Legends, this movie's now canon. And I don't know what that type of troop was.
Well, my impression is probably that the stormtroopers are actually stormtroopers. Like, for example, if you think of Nazis, there was the regular foot soldier, and then you actually had the stormtroopers. Like, that's what I think probably this...
But we never saw no regular stormtroopers in the original films, which is fine. Rogue One brought in new troopers. This is completely fine. But I just felt like, I don't know, it just seems, again, I don't know what use the Imperials had for just regular, I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, again, I'm not sure about that. I would love if someone could flesh that out for us on Twitter at CNC Geekcast.
Yeah.
Was there anything else about the movie that you liked?
I can't think of really anything at all. That
Really? You didn't even like the heist moments? Because I loved those moments.
No, I didn't like those moments either because I wasn't really invested at that point. Like I said, I tried to turn my brain off and I just wasn't enjoying it. The train sequence was fun. The heist moment was... yeah.
Well, first off, I loved the train sequence just because it's so quintessentially Western.
Yes.
It's like it's the idea of robbing the stagecoach.
Yes. But the other thing I think would also be cool if they had a speederback chase kind of resembling a horseback chase.
You need to email that to Kathleen Kennedy because that would be great.
But I thought it would have been awesome. I mean, yes, it would have been kind of... People would be like, that's like Return of the Jedi. I know, but could you just imagine them riding speeder bikes alongside the train and jumping off the speeder bike onto the train and just having the speeder bike just fly off? Or having just being chased by the bandits and going through and having the ship and they're having speeders throughout. That would have been fun.
But it was great seeing the team work together. Thandi Newton, Woody Harrelson, the pilot, and Han Solo all in unison.
Yeah, I wanted to see more of those characters, like I said. Those characters for me were far more fun and far more interesting. They were more dimensional. I got to know that one, like I said, one of the pilots, I knew one of his dreams were. That's fantastic.
And I liked how that moment introduced us to more elements, like the fact that it introduced the idea of the big bad in the movie. That's the first scene where we get the idea that Paul Bettany is a thing. The leader of the Crimson...
the Crimson thing, casino, the mob bosses. Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, I like those sequences. I thought that he did a very good job. But then I have another complaint about this film, and that's the Kessel one. That bothers me to no end.
This is you being nitpicky, but I will let you go into it.
It is nitpicky, yes. But again, it's like, well, we need to have the Kessel one. Except for it seems like a very big moment in Han Solo. They mentioned it twice in A New Hope and The Force Awakens. So here's this moment where they get to do the Kessel one. Number one, I still don't know what the Kessel one really is. I don't know what we're talking about, why it's so important to make it on time. It seems like there is a clear path between Kessel and what an entrance to that place, whether that smoke place was, already mapped out. And so you just gotta follow that path and you're good. So I don't see the importance of making the Kessel one in less time. I always assumed there was some kind of race or something, to be honest. Like Han Solo entered into a race and then he just to see how fast the Millennium Falcon really was. But instead we find out that his ship is really not that fast. He needed to be able to have a specialized fuel to go that fast and help from the droid once the droid died to get away. So it really wasn't his skill or the speed of the ship that got him into the record books. Not only that, but my also problem with it is the fact that who witnessed this Kessel run he made? The only people in the cockpit. There was Solo, Chewbacca, the woman, and Lando. That's it. And the woman is not going to care enough to repeat that because she's too busy running a mob casino or whatever the thing is. And Lando, well, he may tell the story, but I mean, I don't know why he would tell it if it would involve him personally.
And first off, who's going to believe him? This is the kind of guy that has all kinds of tall tales.
Exactly. And Han Solo is new. Who's going to believe Han Solo? So how does Rey find out about it in Episode 7?
So you're wondering how this small moment becomes a legend?
Exactly. It's like, no, that, but Han Solo uses it as a selling point. It's like when Obi-Wan Kenobi said, we need a fast ship. Han Solo said, fast ship? You never heard of the Millennium Falcon? It made the Kessel in 12 parsecs. Well, who witnessed this? I mean, Obi-Wan's not going to know because he's staying on his own, but Han Solo is using it to advertise his services. It's a fast ship because it did this incredible thing. But no one witnessed this incredible thing, so he's just talking big now. And that's my problem with that scene.
You actually did mention one of my problems with the scene, too. I enjoyed the scene. It was fun. It did generate a little bit of tension.
No, I'm not saying it was not a fun moment. It was a fun moment. But it would be nice if it was more consistent with canon.
But my complaint is they make the big deal out of L3 die-in. That was the name of the droid, is L3. And she becomes a part of the ship.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that was...
necessary.
That was... how that influenced things in the future. Like, is there anything mentioned in the original trilogy about the Millennium Falcon being special?
No, I think one person talked about how in Empire Strikes Back, C-3PO said that the ship had a strange dialect. But I don't see how that is a strong enough connection to make. I really don't. Like I said, I don't get it. I don't understand. It's just, it feels like he needed some way to make the Kessel one in less than 12 parsecs. No, his ship is fast, and he's a skilled pilot. That's all you need to show that he can make the true Kessel one. He didn't do it because he had enhancement drugs, quote unquote. He did it out of just real raw skill and talent on a ship that was built to be the fastest hunk of the junk in the galaxy. If you don't have that special feel. If you do, you can make anybody the Kessel Run with less than 12 parsecs. It takes away from the specialness of the moment, from what makes that ship unique.
Speaking of the Kessel Run, I did enjoy the time they spent on Kessel, though. The mining community. Mm-hmm. Well, that was a lot of fun. Again, it was nice seeing Chewbacca have something to do.
Yeah.
L3 had something to do. All the characters had something to do, and they worked well together. I thought that was a great moment. It was fun to watch. There were some great lines. Mm-hmm. That was probably my favorite moment of the film. Because it went full heist movie. I think had the movie went full heist movie, like, say, Ocean's 8.
Yeah.
I would have loved this movie.
Or the beginning of Serenity, when they were robbing the bank. If that was the climax of the film, I think that would have been fine. And then it's like, you combine that moment in Serenity, and then the moment in the end of the first episode of Firefly, well, the woman shoots the horse, Mao shoots the horse. Well, they had that meetup, and they're about to exchange money. Mm-hmm. A moment like that, I thought would have been fine. And they did have that, but I thought that I think Serenity or Firefly did a better job of being a space threat than this film. I think they took some cues from Serenity and Firefly. I think, incorporated some of that into this film. It may have been a better film for me.
I want to ask you something, though. I know you're more familiar with the EU than I am.
Okay.
Or the former EU, I should say. Mm-hmm. Is the Crimson Dawn a thing?
I don't know if they are or not, but to me, the universe is big enough that it doesn't bother me that they are not a thing until today. Well, in this movie.
I'm actually going to disagree with you.
Okay.
Just because I think it would have been cool had it been the Hutt cartel.
Okay, to make another connection?
It would have worked more as a connection. Because we do see the Hutt, we do see the fact that Jabba and Han Solo do have a relationship. It would have made sense that their relationship kind of blossomed in this film.
Yeah, but my issue with that is you had so many callbacks anyway. There would just been one more callback that was just, for me, annoying.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think it would have been more than a callback. I think it would have worked narratively as opposed to just being a callback.
I just don't see it. I think it would have just been annoying again for me. There's just too much. Like I said, if they shaved those things off at the beginning of the film, if they didn't have the name, if they didn't have the blaster moment, if they didn't have the Kessel one, yeah, I think that would have worked. But because you had all these other elements, it would have just been one more just fan service pandering thing, like the end of the film.
Okay, the end of the film actually did bother me, just because I've talked about character assassination before. Mm-hmm. The fact that they retroactively change a character's motivations. Mm-hmm. This movie did that, but it did it in the opposite direction. I call it character deification, where they turn the character into a deity. Because they made it seem like Han Solo kind of kick-started the rebellion, even.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. I didn't like the fact that the movie, again, was like, you may not join us now, but eventually you will change your mind. I'm like, again, the movie winking at you. I'm like, that takes me out of the film.
Actually, I'm going to disagree with you.
Again?
That was more than a wink.
Okay.
That was the movie hitting you over the head with a baseball bat.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, again, it's like,
I did like the Marauders, I guess. I can't remember what the name of the gang was.
The Maul was fine until they turned out to be good guys, and then it's like, oh, that sucks all the fun out of it.
Actually, I don't care one way or the other. The only reason I like them so much is because their costumes were fantastic.
Oh, the costumes is great. I just wish they were actually bad guys, because that would have been fantastic for Han to have a shootout with those guys instead of them being, hey, we're part of the Rebel Alliance. Sounds like, oh, great, unnecessary twist. Another, moment for me.
You didn't care enough narratively to care about twist.
No, I didn't. That's like everything like, that was a twist? Aren't you surprised? No, I don't care.
But what did you think of the ending scene with the Paul Bettany ship?
To be honest, when they got into that firefight, I almost cracked a smile at that moment. That was for some reason that was the scene that I enjoyed. I don't know why, but I was really enjoying that scene.
I had the opposite reaction. I smiled a few other times in the film. During that moment, I was just wanting it to end. Like when Woody Harrelson comes out and is revealed to be double-crossing him, I was like...
But are you a triple agent?
Yeah, I was like, meh.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one. It's like, cliche number 265. I'm just throwing out numbers.
I know, but I'm actually trying to count. That does seem probably about right.
So, yeah. But no, I was quite, I don't know, something about that. I was just like, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. Don't know why. Maybe it was a combination of sword fight and I don't know.
But I did enjoy the moment with Han kind of outsmarting everybody. With the fact that that's the fake Fjord. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all know that's the fake Fjord.
Except for that fact, it's not fake, it's real.
Yeah, I did think that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was nice too. I thought it was a fun moment.
But...
and then the other moment I really didn't like, where Han Solo shot first. Remember that scene?
That scene made sense, actually.
It does make sense, but it feels like it was kind of like Star Wars saying, please forgive us for the special distance.
Actually,
see, Han does shot first.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Again.
I think that was more than Star Wars winking at you. That was actual character growth. Because Woody Harrelson's character does say, don't trust anybody.
Yeah, except for the fact he trusted the rebels.
Ignore that part.
I can't ignore that part. It's in the film.
Or ignore that part.
I'm not going to ignore the part. I can't. It's like, yeah, don't trust. Again, it's just, I don't know. I just didn't like it.
It did work narratively for him to shoot first at the end.
Okay. I mean, I guess I just wasn't invested
I want to ask you an honest question.
Okay.
Did you go into this movie neutral, or did you already... How did you feel about this movie before you went in?
I did not care going into this movie, but I was hoping that it was good. I was hoping to have fun. I was hoping that it would come out, hoping that the critics were just, again, being too smug in the review of the movie. And I'm not trying to be smug or anything, I'm just being honest. But, again, I was like, I just couldn't, I don't know. I just felt like after people hating on episode 8, I'm like, I just felt like, this movie, people say, well, this movie's fun. This movie's fun. And fine, if people want to have fun, that's fine. I don't want to take fun away from them. But Star Wars is more than just fun. Fun is not an ingredient. Fun is a result of an experience. Star Wars is more than just that. Star Wars is about mythos and mythology. And even Westerns have kind of this mythos involved. You have the loner going out there. You have being isolated. The reason why you like Westerns, there's more to it than just that. And a film, for me, Star Wars is about passing down these legends to the next generation. The legends of the Odyssey story, and you have the Odysseus, and all these Greek and mythologies, Joseph Campbell, the hero story. What is all these connecting, underlining themes? And it's fine for Solo to be a fun movie, but it should have been that Western-style movie that you enjoy so much, the good Westerns. And I felt like it could have been that. It could have been so much better, and we just got met. And I just don't feel like it being fun. A Star Wars film is more than just fun. It's a result of something greater than that.
I don't think Star Wars can limit itself, though. And I think that's Star Wars trying to limit themselves and have all films fit that...
Well, I'm not saying to limit itself. I'm not saying that it should be all the hero's journey. What I'm saying is if it's going to be a Western, there's a specific thing that makes a Western what it is. You can merge those things. I mean, we haven't seen a pure Star Wars Western. It can be a Western. Just like we haven't seen a pure Star Wars war film. And Rogue One tried to be that war film, and I had no problem with that. But there is a foundation that Star Wars is on, and you can build whatever you want off of that foundation. And that's the reason why I liked about Episode 8. It expanded upon that mythos. It told a story of a fallen hero that rises back up like the Phoenix. The Phoenix dies, and Luke Skywalker comes out of the ashes, reborn as somebody new, someone different. So you had those themes involved. I'm not saying that Star Wars has to fit a formula. I'm just saying that there is an essence to Star Wars that I think that makes it what it is. And that's what makes it special. And you can try all these different things. I have nothing wrong with that. If it's going to be a Western, it could have been better. That's all I'm saying. You could have followed that mythology. Why do you love Westerns, for example? There's a reason why you love it. And that underlining foundation, I think, what this film could have been. And I felt like it was in parts like that, but not complete.
I can understand that. Mm-hmm. I can see what you're getting at. I don't completely agree, but I can definitely see what you're getting at. I don't think all Star Wars films need to fit this Western formula anymore.
Well, I'm not saying all Star Wars films do that. I'm just saying if this film is going to be a Western, then you can take the elements from a Western and make it its foundation, but still build what you want from that.
Okay.
All these themes have foundations.
There's something we talk about a lot on our episodes.
But
this feels like a weird thing to kind of close our episode with. Mm-hmm. But did you notice weird things with the lighting in this movie?
Yes, the cinematography was really, really off in this film. I could barely see anything.
Yeah, it feels nitpicky to talk about.
It doesn't, no, because the point of these technological aspects, if you do these technological aspects right, the point is you do it so right the audience doesn't know it and they focus on narrative. And if the audience cannot see the film, they can't focus on the narrative. They can't focus on the character. They don't know what to look like. Perfect example. I just got done watching The Godfather. And there's a scene in the movie where a woman comes out of a taxi in front of the Godfather's house. Well, every person in that scene was wearing gray or dark brown. But the woman was wearing bright red. Well, the reason why they did that, and so was a taxi, it was bright yellow and red. The reason why they did that was because the human eye will focus on the brighter object compared to the darker object.
It's what's different.
Yeah, it's exactly. And so when you do that, the mind focuses on it. When it comes to lighting, you want to aim the audience toward a specific action. We talked about this with Mad Max Fury Road, how everything was centered, less letting the audience know what to focus on. Well, if you don't properly light your subjects and light the scene, what am I supposed to be focused on? I'm more focusing on trying to see what's going on than seeing who to focus on, to listen to, so they can explain to me and enjoy the narrative. So it's not really a nitpicky thing if you do it just right.
That was a fantastic explanation, and I am legitimately impressed.
Well, you should be, because it was awesome.
Shut up.
So
but the movie's actually not doing well. It feels weird saying that for a Star Wars film.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think a lot of it is just that a lot of people didn't like Episode 8. Very small percentage is full on boycotting. Others, maybe the May release, that it was Memorial Day, even though that the original Star Wars came out on May 25th back in 1977, but that was a different time and era completely.
Actually, I think that probably had a lot to do with it, though. Mm-hmm. Like, think about the movies that have came out recently.
Yeah.
You have Infinity War, and you have Deadpool, which are both must-sees. There's a lot of fan overlap. Pretty much any of the fans that will see this will have also seen those.
Yeah.
So, first off, for monetary reasons, a lot of people may not have seen this yet. Mm. They may just be waiting until it hits Redbox or Netflix or what have you before they actually plop down the money to see it. And second off, it does feel weird to see a Star Wars film in the spring.
Well, now it does. I mean, the prequels didn't come in the December. The prequels were spread out throughout the summer and spring.
But I just associate December with Star Wars now, and I think a lot of people may.
Yeah.
Because The Force Awakens, Rogue One, The Last Jedi.
I think it also has to do with social media. Because the Will Smith movie that came out, Beyond Earth or something, completely just had a terrible box office, and a lot of people blame social media for that. So when you hear stories about the director needed to be changed, and there was a lot of problems with the actor, they needed to come in with acting coaches and stuff like that, even if they're just far-stretched stories, unfortunately has a negative effect on a perception of a movie.
That definitely can, and that, as a filmmaker, that would actually terrify me.
Yeah.
If I was a filmmaker, that's what I'm trying to say. If I was a filmmaker, that would terrify me.
Unfortunately, you do have to take into account the business aspect of filmmaking. And Disney has to, and I think that it was a strategic misstep on their part to put it in May.
I think so too, just because there's so much other stuff going on this time of year.
I think one of the reasons why they moved Avengers Infinity War up to April 27th was to avoid the conflict with Star Wars.
Well, and just a lot of people go on vacation and stuff in May. Yeah. Like, for example, my fiance is on vacation right now.
Yeah.
So,
well, at the same time, the people on vacation could easily go see a movie theater in the place that they'll go on vacation at. I don't think that's an issue when it comes to... But then again, I don't know what people's patterns are when they go on vacation.
I don't either, and I'm kind of saying that there's so many so many minor things that could affect it and influence it by maybe like $1 or $2 million, but that can make a difference. Mm-hmm. Especially in word of mouth. $1 or $2 million means a bunch more people telling their friends.
Yeah, so I
think Star Wars needs to keep it at December, though.
I do, and I think that Disney has a lot to think about when it comes to the quality of film. Because I heard this one high up in Disney said, look, I read an article that he said, look, we don't know what's going on, but we're going to figure out, we're going to work hard and see what we can do to improve upon it. So we'll see what happens. But I honestly think that after Episode 9 comes out, they really just I don't know what's going to happen with the Star Wars franchise. And to be honest, I think it was definitely a miscalculation for them to focus on these individual characters too.
I think it was a strategic misstep for them to focus on these individual characters, not individual characters as a whole. Rogue One is frankly, actually I enjoyed I don't necessarily enjoyed Rogue One as a whole, but I definitely enjoyed parts of Rogue One because it had that unit aspect. It felt different.
Well, Rogue One also is helped by being directly connected to New Hope. So A New Hope suddenly becomes a 4-hour epic. That and Lord of the Rings.
Well, it does that, but I just don't like what Solo means for Star Wars. If it is a success, I don't like what it means for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because they're already talking about greenlighting a Boba Fett in an Obi-Wan movie. And you know what? Frankly, I don't care. I know I will watch them. I'm not going to lie to myself. I'm not going to lie to my audience. I will watch them. But frankly, I could not care less about Boba Fett.
Yeah, I don't care. I could care less either about Han Solo. So I'm really excited that Rogue One was the first spin-off film we ever got. And a lot of people may say, well, I got tired of them focusing on the Death Star. I'm like, are you kidding me? The Death Star is the most iconic things in Star Wars history, and we get to see them stealing the plans to it. That to me is exciting, and that entire sequence in that film when they were stealing the plans was exciting, and I got exactly what I wanted in those last act of the movie.
It was, and I'm worried that these films are going to keep being a success, and eventually it'll get to the point where we see Gonk Droid, the movie.
Yeah, I agree too. It's like I don't want to see Bosk the movie. I don't want to see Lib Droid or whatever his thing with Lobot. I don't want to see Lobot Solo.
That would be a lamp. See how this lamp appeared in A New Hope.
Yeah, or that now they're wanting another Lando movie. It's like I want this movie. I want to explore the universe, and even though Solo took us to different locations, I want to see different characters.
Okay, here's the thing. Solo took us to different locations. Name one of those locations.
Kessel.
That one doesn't count because that one was previously named.
Okay, that's true. All right. Yeah.
I love the idea of seeing new locations. I love the idea of seeing new characters.
Well, I love the idea of a space western or whatever Solo was trying to be. I mean, I love the idea. Like I said, I love them trying new things, and that's why I love Episode 8 so much. I enjoy that film because it dared to do different things. It dared to do something new.
Well, I think we're going to have to do something new.
Yeah, I mean, like end?
Like, quit talking.
Yeah, well, that's not new. But before we go, why don't you give a shout out to the newest review?
Well, we didn't get a review. One of the questions we answered, we actually talked about it a bit. Thanks to a person on Twitter. It's another film podcast called Backseat Directors.
Okay.
We've communicated with them on Twitter quite a few times. They're great. They seem like a great group of guys. Mm-hmm. They've even encouraged me to watch Band of Brothers, which I've really enjoyed. Okay. So this isn't our first interaction with them. I want to give them a shout out. Their Twitter handle is @TheBDPodcast. As I said, follow them. Maybe check out their show.
Yeah.
Let them know we sent you.
Awesome. Now, before we go, tell our audience what's in store for them next week.
We're talking about a film that is kind of overlooked by many, but Joseph and I have always enjoyed.
Yes.
So it has a great cast. It just kind of came out at the wrong time. We're going to talk about that a bit. Talking about the movie Equilibrium.
Yes, I enjoy this film. I'm going to go watch it tonight, as a matter of fact.
I want to watch it. It's been a while since I've seen it. I'm excited to watch it again. Who knows? Maybe my opinion has changed and we'll disagree a lot next episode too.
Yes, this has been harsh for us, hasn't it?
It has.
But it's been fun. But until next week, I'm Joseph Collins.
And I'm Paul Combs.
And you've been listening to the CNC Geekcast.